Jai Gurudev children, how are you all? Hope everyone is fine at home. There is a big question now. Are you familiar with the story of Cinderella and the glass slippers? Isn't it? What if his Cinderella had not left them behind? The prince would have had a hard time finding her. That is the fairy tale version. Now, let us find out more about the invention of modern high heels. Have you ever thought what is the history of footwear in India? If yes, then we are here to tell you about Indian footwear history. From ancient times, wearing leather footwear was forbidden in India. So, the use of sandals made of wood, plant fiber, and metals. The significance of Paduka in Hinduism is linked to the epic Ramayana. As per Ramayana, Bharata requested for the pious Paduka of Lord Rama. It can be placed on the throne on behalf of the Lord until he returned from the 14 years of long exile. This is known as Paduka Pattabhisheka. The high heeled footwear did not come into our lives in the 1970s. Our ancestors wore them in India several centuries before. At the archaeological site at Chandraketugarh, about 35 km northeast of Kolkata, footwear with the raised heel and floral motifs used around 200 BC were found. Isn't it interesting? Here the next one is the picture of a sculpture from Ramappa Temple, Varangal. Varangal was the capital of Kakatiya Kingdom. These ladies are called Madanikas. Here one below is known as Dalamalika. Did you notice anything strange in this? Yes, you are all correct. The high heels. This temple about 800 years old simply means that high heels are fashionable in India since centuries. Sculpture at Veerabhadra temple, Lepakshi can be seen wearing high heels. This sculpture is said to be God Shiva. Here the Buddha statue is seen wearing strapped sandals. This Buddha statue belongs to Kanishka's period. This is the Modra Sun temple. Here we can see the sun god is portrayed wearing the footwear. This temple belongs to 11th century CE. The next one is the granite sun statue of Dakshinarka Sun Temple in Gaya. Here the temple shows the sun god is wearing a jacket and high boots. The Madurai collector Peter Pandian gifted a pair of shoes to Madurai Meenakshi Amman for saving his life. These sculptures are the examples of our rich and varied culture. Sometimes the things are happening beyond our imagination. We recently found a news that shows ancient Indian men used to wear sandals similar to what Bata sells now. Here it is a picture of a 900-year-old sculpture from ancient Indian town of Avudayar Kovil in Tamil Nadu. We can say ancient Indian men were very fashionable centuries back. They were wearing sandals 1000 years back, the same model which Bata India sells today. Isn't it fascinating, children? High heels were not the symbol of pious and beauty it is associated with today. They were an important part of the warrior's costume. It might come as a surprise that the high heels were not exclusively worn by women in the olden days. Can you imagine grown men moving around in high heels? Probably not. But times were very different. Then and the beloved high heels have come a long way since. High-heeled shoes were first worn in the 10th century as a way to help the Persian cavalry keep their shoes in their stirrups. Persian soldiers were the first to discover that heeled shoes helped their feet stay in their stirrups and gave them the stability they needed to shoot their bows and arrows. In the 16th century, Shah Abbas, the king of Persia, sent his men to Spain, Russia, and Germany. These men were believed to have introduced shoes with slightly elevated heels to European countries. The king of heels, Louis XIV, was perhaps the most famous wearer of heels in history. Under Louis's rule, the higher and the redder the heel, the more powerful the wearer. He was believed to command more respect if he was able to look down on the people he addressed instead of looking up. He passed a law that only members of the court were allowed to wear the red colored heels. The color of the heels became a mark of distinction once more. What happens in France does not stay in France alone. It becomes a trend. Of course, England picked up on the heels too. In the year 1661, during the famous Restoration, the 6-foot Charles II wore heels to his coronation. According to Week magazine, when Napoleon Bonaparte crowned himself emperor in 1804, he decided to wear flats instead of heels. The result, the tiny general's gesture, marked the end of an era, not only of monarchist rule in France, but also of high heel male power dressing throughout the Western world. In Western culture, slippers are for safety, beauty, and fashion. But in our culture, it's treated as an ornament, divine, and a chance for us to touch the feet of gurus, though we are separated by physical distances. So we worship Guru Padukas.
स्वाहा सहायाक्ष दुरन्धराभ्याम् स्वान्ताच्च भवप्रदपूजनाभ्याम् नमो नमः श्री श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्याम् कामादिसर्प व्रजगारुडाभ्याम् विवेकवैराग्य निधिप्रदाभ्याम् बोधप्रदाभ्याम् धृतमोक्षदाभ्याम् नमो नमः श्री श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्याम् बोधप्रदाभ्याम् धृतमोक्षदाभ्याम् नमो नमः श्री श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्याम्